it's going to be Palkia against Mew VMAX. Not seen many Mews over the course of the stream, but this Christian deciding to rock with it here. And like Palkia, just one of those decks that just doesn't go away.
No, of course. I think that Mew has definitely shown its merit over a number of tournaments now. Incredible results, especially when we were sort of in that era of online play. Mew found itself very, very dominant, and it will continue here to show its class. Obviously, at 5-1-1, it's done well today. And, you know, Palkia, looking into Mew, it can be quite a favourable matchup for Palkia, being a 2-prize deck, hitting into a 3-prizer, but it just depends on what sort of techs Christian's playing. And of course, we're looking at the prizes now as well. The Quick Shooting Inteleon makes an appearance once again, but this time it's in the prizes. 2 Drizzile may make the mid-game a little bit slow. And of course, on the other side of the board, 2 Battle VIP Pass prized already, making that turn 1 VIP Pass a little bit less likely, but not impossible.
Not impossible, especially not for a deck like Mew, right? Mew is one of those decks that basically draws 1 billion cards turn 1, so...
What, exactly 1 billion?
Yeah, more than there are, like, probably... I was going to say more than there are Pokemon cards in existence, but if I think about it, because the amount that have been printed, you never know.
You never know. You never know. You get up there. And looking at it now, we've just got the deck list through. So we are looking as well at the DTE version of Mew, so not the Fusion Strike Mew. Another twist in this tale, obviously Fusion Strike Mew for the longest time being the dominant force, and all of a sudden at one of the American regionals, this new sort of version of the deck came along, blew everyone out of the water, and of course, it's here now to stay by the looks of things.
Yes, very, very much so. And it is interesting because we have seen, you know, Fusion Mew still being played as well. But to me, it's evident that the Fusion Strikeless version of the deck is, like you just said, the one that's probably around to stay for longest. And certainly the one that's seeing more success recently.
Yeah, and Christian on his first turn, not great for Mew. You know, he got 2 Genesect down, drawing through his deck a little. He did get the attachment, which is what Mew wants to see. Obviously, you're only playing 4 of those energy. It can be a little bit harder to see them than perhaps in the Fusion Strike deck where you play 6. The 2 Genesect down as well, being able to draw next turn. But Christian not hitting all the things that he wants on their first turn. And of course, the Sobble down, attaching a water energy. And it looks like keep calling straight away.
Yes, and of course, it's not a bad thing to do turn 1, going second, not at all. You want to get all your Sobbles down, but there wasn't much else to go with it, and that's like the only kind of sad part for Fabien here. It's keep calling without a Palkia or without anything else. So, yeah, from that perspective, at least not ideal, especially considering how we know how the Mew deck works, and if Fabien was to get a Palkia down next turn, it will not be difficult for Christian to just, you know, KO it.
Of course not. I think, as we were saying earlier, Mew, the king of KOing 2-prize Pokemon, plenty of Gust in the deck, drawing countless cards in turn, meaning that it can both see cards and Gust in the same turn, which we all know how powerful that is. And it looks like at the start of the turn, it's just a Genesect and a Pelpad, get that boss back in the deck. And it doesn't look like Christian's got too much room in his hand to be drawing more cards with the Genesect. It seems pretty clogged up right now. We're going to have to see if anything can be removed from his hand to see if we can get a few more draws out of this.
Yeah, it looks like just a Pelpad and then maybe drawing 1 card, it looks like, for thinking about whether there's another thing that can be done, the Palpad putting a boss's orders back into the deck, which is something that obviously Christian wants back anyway, so that's all gravy. But seriously debating whether to play another card before doing this second Fusion Strike system. What is Christian debating on? Lost Vacuum.
Choosing to play Lost Vacuum, getting rid of a card out of their hand, obviously going straight into the Lost Zone, and of course then the Stadium following along with it. Getting rid of those tablets, not something you want to be forced into doing.
No.
And unfortunately seeing that Battle Void VIP pass but on the wrong turn.
Yes, really would have rather seen that turn 1. But there is an Ultra Ball there as well, so that is a good find. Can maybe do the Trekking Shoes first to draw another card, and then Ultra Ball the whole hand away to get another Genesect and draw again.
Nice on the crossway. That's another thing you don't really want to discard.
No, but not really much of a choice here. And then
another Trekking Shoes, getting to dig a little bit deeper. The Avery, he hasn't played a draw supporter this turn. It could be useful in his hand. But as you said, perhaps draw that Ultra Ball, getting rid of the whole hand and drawing some more cards might be a little bit better.
Yeah. So
and he does opt to Avery.
Yes. So
there's only 3 Sobble on the bench, so no discard needed from Fabien. But the Avery does still get the draw 3.
Yeah, and looks like after that, going to be a Rotom Phone, one of the cards found off of the Avery. 5 cards there, and finding a Mew off top of that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think Rotom Phone, this is one of those decks, it's this and Kyurem, isn't it, where it gets that really nice synergy, being able to see the top card of your deck quite often as well through Genesect in this, and of course Oranguru in Kyurem, and Kyurem's ability to get the water energy. But right now, exactly, he gets the Mew, he knew he needed a second attacker down, and of course being able to draw that with Genesect is easy as pie, no problem.
Yeah, so here we go with the Ultra Ball now. Gonna find another Genesect, but now with the Mew down as well, and a completely empty hand, the Fusion Strike system will be drawing 5 cards, which is a lot closer to what you really want to be doing with the Fusion Strike system.
It's definitely what I'm used to seeing from this deck. You are used to Mew being quite consistent, especially this version. You're not sort of caught up in hiccups of having to elicit Sparkle on your first couple of turns. You're able to play actual draw supporters such as the Avery we just saw. And seeing a second Lost Vacuum here, they do play a full count of the 2, which is more than we've seen all day. Usually it's just a one-off tech, but 2 in this, making sure that Path just really cannot shut this deck down. And of course then playing the Lost Cities as well to make sure that it's just really not susceptible to Path. However, Fabien does play the 1 Path in his deck, meaning that at some point in the game I imagine he's going to try and use that as a strategy to stop the Mew from attacking.
Yes.
However, we know that Christian's got a few answers for that. And a knockout on the Sobble to end the turn.
Yeah, so Christian having a pretty decent turn 2, all things considering in the start especially. Fabien on the back foot for sure, and having just go straight for the Marnie after that. Yeah,
I don't ever dislike Marnie against Mew. Obviously, you're sending the hand back in, and if you are able to combine it with a Path, you can sort of lock them out, and they're sort of stuck with the 4 cards that they have. They don't play a lot of draw supporters in the deck outside of things like Avery, maybe a Marnie that they have. So it's often a key strategy of the Palkia deck to try and beat it.
Yes. And the Capacious Bucket coming in strong as ever, just to... Oh, and Fabien's also preparing a Palkia V, so obviously got something else in mind. Is that from an Irida, I guess, or just a preemptive Quick Ball?
There is an Irida in hand, so you'd imagine that is where there's going. And a Quick Ball, that also gets our Palkia V out as well. That hitting the deck straight away. Fabien's going to need a few attackers to get through this Mew, unfortunately. It can't all be done with Sobbles, so that's going to have to come down. So I feel like Fabien's in a position now where 1 Palkia is not going to do the job. I think he needs a second one down this turn to ensure the fact that he's going to still have an attacker when the turn comes back to him.
Yes. So Palkia down, another Palkia down.
Another Palkia down.
Very important, of course.
Of course.
With Christian being able to so easily pick off bench 2 prizes, there's got to be at least 2 down to make sure 1 survives, even if, as we discussed so many times before, there's 1 there with an energy looking very, very much like bait.
Yeah, very much like bait. There's a big target on that Palkia right now, and I'm sure that Christian will be looking for those boss's orders, looking for those custom catchers, being able to seek out the Palkia into the active. He doesn't want to have to go through Sobbles. Of course, he's already taken 1 prize, so taking another 1 prize isn't too much of a big deal, but if you can get rid of that threat of the Palkia early on, he's definitely going to want to prefer to do that.
Yeah, and I must confess, I'm feeling a little bit blinded by Christian's deck right now. Look at the amount of gold going on, everyone.
There's an incredible amount of gold in here. You can tell. I feel like a lot of Mew players, Mew's the deck I see blinged out the most often. I feel like people have been very loyal to it and played it for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I'll spend a bit more money in this bit. I've been playing this for a while.
Like
so
everything gold, full art, reverse hollowed. I mean, this basically looks like is a near enough max rarity, unless you count like alternative arts. But I think you could also consider that just like a artistic preference.
Really, really strong Genesect here, coming into those 2 catchers that we just mentioned. Obviously, Mew on the bench having free retreater, even without the Mew VMAX, we are able to jump in and out of a Mew. The only thing being is the Mew is going to need some sort of choice belt or a damage burst, such as a tablet, which I think is in hand to be able to get through this Palkia.
Yes, so Christian maybe debating which one he wants to use. I think the cross switcher probably has more merit purely on the basis of you need to get that Mew VMAX out of the active to make sure that you can attack again. So there is that going on, but actually just going for a Ultra Ball first, it looked like.
Looks like it was a quick ball.
Oh,
Quick ball in hand off of the Genesect. But either way, that power tablet hitting the discard. Obviously, me knowing that you need that power tablet to perhaps take a knockout on the Palkia. Maybe not the line that Christian's going for. Maybe opting to go for something else here. Looking at that Mew, obviously a quick ball cannot grab that Mew VMAX, so that's being shuffled back into the deck. And it'll be interesting to see whether the custom catches come down this turn. There are going to be more draws available through Genesect as well for Christian to be able to access more cards. So we'll have to see what he gets off those and see how this plot thickens.
I mean, if there were custom catches, the plot really would thicken considering how old that card is.
Fusion.
You could cross switcher, of course.
Cross switcher, of course. I'm going to have it doing that today. It's all the old cards. It's my favourite format. I'm going back to cross.
I mean, it's also another card where you play 2 at the same time to do it. So it's easy to see where it lies. In any case, Ultra Ball 1 more time, discarding. Was that a Lost Vacuum, it looked like?
Yes, a Lost Vacuum. That's the second one now. 1 already played, 1 hitting the discard off that Ultra Ball. Grabbing that Mew VMAX that Christian was eyeing up earlier, meaning that this switch out will be a lot easier.
Yes.
And the band to the active Mew, and the Genesect drawing in, hoping to hit another power tablet here.
And looks like does not find it.
Not received. However, more cross switches drawn as well. Lots of gust. And an attack with the Mew. Is that KO? 190?
With the choice belt, 220, yeah.
Yeah, 220, exactly.
Yeah, it is exactly enough. So, yeah, and Christian just doing, although it looked like there was no retreat going on, there's 2 identical Mews on the field. So essentially, Christian just said, yeah, I'm going to retreat between these and take the KO. So everything's above board here. No, nothing to worry about that.
Everything's above board. I'm sure there is nothing going on like that. Just a little bit of a miscalculation from me. And Irida coming down, really important card in these Palkia decks, being able to grab 1 water Pokemon and an item card. The Palkia VSTAR most probably hitting the board here in order to access an attacker for Fabien, and then an item, maybe perhaps to get him another attacker. Of course, we mentioned that Mew's got a really big habit of picking off of these 2 prize Pokemon. Fabian's going to have to find something else to do after this Palkia attacks as well, but opting for the Crobat in the end.
Yeah, and getting that off of the quick ball, discarding a Lost City, interestingly enough. Probably thinking, I mean, Lost City is not really something that does a huge amount against Mew. Say if you're worried about countering their own path to the peak, because some Mew players play that now, that would be a consideration, but I think we've already seen Christian get rid of his own path to the peak, so Fabien can discard that Lost City pretty safely. Yeah,
of course. As you said, no real merit here in this matchup. The Crobat drawing up for the maximum 6, lovely, and we're seeing Drizzile, Scoop Up Net, Path to the Peak. It's going to look nice. And the one-off Rare Candy in this deck as well. That's becoming a popular inclusion in Palkia as well, to be able to get in that Inteleon. And of course, the Drizzile comes down, going back in for another trainer card. Fabien really trying to access an attack at the end of this turn. The other Palkia V hitting the bench as well, meaning he's got a follow-up attacker for the following turn.
Also, my Cardot connoisseur senses are tingling as I see Fabien's actually gone for the Holon Phantoms Rare Candy art there. So very, very old school, absolutely gorgeous card.
Very old. Unfortunately, it's way before my time. I'm far less experienced than yourself, so good knowledge there, but it's all props. You could have told me it was anything, and I'd believe you, to be honest with you.
I mean, it was what was it, 2006, I believe. That's when Holon Phantoms was, or 5, one of those 2.
And the Star Portal here, just a sticky note as the V-Star counter here, but clearly flipped over there. No V-Star available anymore. That Star Portal able to get the 2 energy on his active Pokemon to attack, and only 1 to the bench for Palkia, but it does mean just 1 energy attachment next turn will activate that attacker. And the Mew now taking a bit of damage, not knocked out yet, but one of the big merits of Mew is it can heal itself if it wants to.
Yes, it can, but can Christian actually viably pull that off this turn is the question. I mean, I guess if there is because
can't use Mew's attack currently.
No, that's what I was trying to see, because I couldn't see a Mew V on the bench, and the benches are full, so it's not really viable to go for, unfortunately, right now.
And those other cross switches that Christian luckily drew into, activating that bench knockout again, bringing the other Palkia into the active, being able to hit that 220 on the dot again. Amani as well, locking Fabien's hand a little bit, hoping that he can't draw anything meaningful to be able to take the last 3 prizes he needs. Christian starting to establish himself in this game. 2 power tablets off that as well, meaning that his next knockout is going to come a little bit easier as well.
Also, I was wrong, because I do believe I see there a pass to the peak in Christian's hand, so that must mean that he's not used it yet, because I'm fairly sure he only plays 1.
Does only play 2 passes to the
peak.
Oh,
he plays 2? Okay, so...
2.
Okay,
2.
That's why then, okay.
And 1 Lost City, so there it is. It's the different flip of those.
Yes, so...
Lost City gone, 1 path in hand, and then obviously 1 in the discard, as you thought there was earlier.
And then Christian just thinking things through before he takes this knockout. This will, of course, put him on only 1 prize left to win the game. And considering Fabien's not taking a single prize yet, you've got to think Christian's in a pretty good position to win.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, obviously, the thing with these VMAXs is it does take 3 full prizes for the knockout. So you usually think that, obviously, if you can get through a couple of them, you already win the game just by taking 2 of them out. But obviously taking that 1, you're already all the way down to 3. But when Christian sat on just 1 prize card left, we know that he has a boss available to him in deck as well. So it's going to be quite easy for this Mew to take the last prize.
Yes, so Palkia going into the active, card drawn for the turn for Fabien, another Palkia V going onto the bench, but and Roxanne. So
Roxanne, of course. Yeah. One of those big key things about going to 3 prizes or below is Roxanne becomes active. Shuffle both players' hands into the deck. Your opponent draws only 2 cards and you draw 6. A bit of draw support for yourself, hoping you can hit the things that you need, but also the main purpose, disrupting your opponent a little bit, perhaps but delay in this end game.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I thought Fabien had a path to the peak in hand before the Roxanne, so I'm not quite sure why he didn't play it down, if he did, or maybe he just didn't, and I sort of misinterpreted that. But in any case, evolution in sense means that if it was in, or if it wasn't in hand, then it will be soon, because that, of course, is going to be able to get some more shady dealings going, and that will find the path to the peak back to the hand.
Of course, that Inteleon coming down again, gracing our screens with its presence, being able to grab 2 trainer cards. That's going to be the Capacious Bucket, and as you said, Freya, path to the peak.
Yes, this is absolutely vital. This is the way that you can try and beat Mew in the early game especially, but in the late game, this is what you got to do. So path being picked up by Fabien from the shady dealings along with the Capacious Bucket, as you said. I imagine that would be, water energy going onto the bench Palkia V, and then a path to the peak going down with a Roxanne Christian. Fabien has done all he can to try and cement his comeback here, and now it's just going to be on Christian to find an out.
Yeah, hanging on by the strings here for Fabien. He's put himself in a good position to try and prevent the Mew VMAX from getting what it needs. Of course, there are 2 on the board, so he's able to move those around quite freely as well. Fabien not taking a knockout yet, so even if one goes down, Christian at least has 1 more turn to try and close out this game. Does he hit what he needed off of the 3 cards he's gained?
Oh my goodness, okay. Roxanne and then Christian said, no, you.
Obviously, a mirror play there. Christian telling Fabien.
Wait, no, you can't do that. Yeah, Fabien only has like 6 prizes left.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. And I believe that
Fabien has shuffled in already.
Oh dear.
Well, this could be a complicated one.
Yeah, I guess Christian just must have assumed that the knockout was taken, but of course it wasn't. Palkia's not doing enough damage, so.
Of course,
yeah.
I think also as well, when you're in a position in the game and you know that there's only a few cards that you need left to try and close it out.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunate situation, but obviously we're just gonna have to let this one resolve, and we will update you on this ongoing situation as it develops.
For those having a look,
So
Roxanne. A key card last game, of course, trying to get himself back into it. Fabien only plays 1 of those. It's right at the top of those prizes, so maybe a twist in that tail.
It's not Fabien that has it prized, it's Christian.
It's because they both have it prized.
Oh, wait, oh, they do? Oh, you're right, sorry, I was looking on
in
the
the
side.
same spot
Oh
as
my
well.
god, my goodness.
So both Roxanne. So at least we know that that's unlikely to happen
yes,
again in this game.
That's
both
very
players
true,
not having
yes.
access to that until later on. But we start off this game, and Christian already looking a little bit better. 2 Mew down on this first turn, meaning that he's definitely going to have access to those VMAXs following, even if anything crazy happens on Fabien's side of the board in the next few turns. That path to the peak coming down straight away. A vacuum playing out his hand, trying to draw what he can off this Genesect. Yeah,
just trying to thin out the hand as much as possible. Then 3 cards drawn from the Fusion Strike system, and it looks like Quick Ball was found off there, so obviously that's as strong as ever.
I think maybe another Genesect. I don't know. Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, of course. And this is where the chain, of course, gets going, because once you get to like 3 on the bench and then 4 and 5, you start drawing a number of cards where it becomes a lot easier to sort of chain your Genesects together.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, once they're down as well, these Genesects usually stay here for the rest of the game. Obviously, they can be knocked out for an easy 2 prizes by the Palkia.
Yes.
Palkia would much rather be dealing with Mew throughout this matchup, so maybe the Genesect being picked up at the end. So those always on board to get more cards to Christian. And we see a Cramomatic, a Boss, and that back card, maybe a Mew VMAX, I think, those Rainbow Rays from earlier.
Yes, that is a Rainbow Mew VMAX indeed. But it looks like Christian, again, honestly, with a good enough turn 1, this is completely fine.
Yeah, a good enough turn 1. I think, again, we're used to seeing Mew absolutely pop off in those early turns and do everything that it wants. And Fabien definitely seeing a better turn, putting down those Palkias. No attachment, though, which could come back to bite him a little bit. But at least he does have 2 of those attackers down early.
Yes, so Cramomatic Tails, of course, not ideal, but it is still thins cards out of hand to draw more of a Genesect, so not the end of the world. Oh, Boss's Orders as well, so
very
actually,
nice,
wow.
And now those Genesects just going to be looking for those answers. The Mew already on the bench with an energy on it. We just need a choice band now or a power tablet, one of the 2.
There we go.
And there it is. And Christian already off to a flying start in this game. And living up to that headline we gave it earlier, Mew is the king at taking 2 prize knockouts early. It's turn 2 and this Mew is already coming in and swinging, taking one of those key attackers in Fabien's deck.
Yes, and interestingly enough, this time Christian not opting to bench it or Choreo, going straight for Genesect number 3, wanting to draw as many cards as possible, knowing that's pretty much how the strength of his deck lies. And I think in the grand scheme of things as well, I think the Oricorio doesn't make too much of a difference for the maths, apart from in that situation that we mentioned earlier, where maybe it's a full benches on both sides, choice belt plus the quick shooting Inteleon on a Mew VMAX, then that would prevent the KO. But maybe Christian thinking that's less important right now.
Of course, Oricorio, one of those weird situations where it minuses 20, but also pluses 20 for
Well,
Palkia
yeah,
by being there. So,
that's true.
you know, in very key moments, it might do the business, but another Genesect filling that spot for now and drawing more cards for Christian. He's having a very dominant turn 2 here, getting the second Mew VMAX down as well, not having to look for that anymore in his following turn. And we see Trekking Shoes, a Cram-O-Matic, and an Avery in hand at the very least. Christian with things to do. The Trekking Shoes come down, and we see the DTE, and he attaches that to the active Mew.
Yep, sure thing. Of course, still needs to retreat to the other Mew, given that that's the one with the choice belt on it, and that's the one that can take the KO on the Palkia. And then, yep, going to be cross fusion strike, copying
And I think that's as good as it could have got for Christian that turn. A really dominant show from Mew VMAX. And for those in the audience watching today who may not have seen Mew work before, I think that you definitely got a full insight into the strengths of the deck on that turn.
Yeah, very, very much so. Evolution Incense coming in now as we see Fabien almost certainly going to be grabbing a Drizzile. We're going to start off with that chain of shady dealings from this Inteleon line, and going to start finding the trainers he needs to set up and start mounting a counter-attack. Now, I think it's unlikely for a KO to happen this turn. In fact, not just unlikely, given that there's no way for a quick shooting Inteleon to come down. It's not really possible, but something that could happen is something that you mentioned earlier. With you play to do 290,
yes,
and then later on with a quick shooting finish off.
Of course, once again, we are in a slightly different situation now. That Mew V being on the bench this time allows Christian to be able to somewhat heal if he wants to. Obviously not able to knock out a Palkia while doing that, so you're going to have to place that quite nicely, maybe taking a one-prize knockout and a Sobble to be able to heal. But the one thing that's scaring me a little bit for Fabien so far, getting that Capacious Bucket, that Greninja down, getting the energy in, but he's going to have to get an attack off this turn. He needs something like a Melanie to push himself forward, or get enough energy in the discard to try and get a Star Portal off.
Yes, and that's going to be absolutely vital to find this turn, because of course there are no energy on the board currently, so this really needs to happen now for Fabien to mount any kind of chance. But this is also what this deck is built to do. Of
course, there is a Capacious Bucket in hand, a Water Energy as well. The Quick Ball coming down, putting 2 now in the discard. Activating Star Portal somewhat. You can get a maximum of 3. Fabien would like that, but I think sometimes you got to bite the bullet somewhat and just take the 2 when you can.
Yes, and if that's all that you have available, if it means attacking, then that's all that matters really.
Of course, and I think that Fabien, it's still not a great turn for him though. Obviously the Capacious Bucket coming down again. He's going to get the extra energies he needs. Not only that, by grabbing those energies, you always have access to Greninja if you want to use it on your following turns. Already used this turn, obviously, but those Water Energy having more than one purpose in this deck, and they're never hurtful to have in the discard pile either.
Yeah, manual attached there with the onto the Palkia in that case, and actually going to drop that Crobat V and going to draw up until 6 cards, 1 more there, and not really finding anything else. There's another Evolution Incense, so maybe we could find a second Palkia VSTAR, or maybe an Inteleon for next turn, potentially.
Maybe, and the Drizzile comes down. Fabien wanting to get the band, and he is going for maximum damage output here.
So probably then going for that play that we thought of earlier. I mean, it would be very silly now if he ends up not playing the quick shooting Inteleon, but he does. Okay. He does. So, yeah, this is probably what Fabien's thinking of. Let's do 290 damage to this Mew. There's a slight risk of a Psychic Leap coming in. That's the only problem that we have right now, is that Christian does have a Mew V on the bench, so that's something to consider. But other than that, this is, I guess, one of the best lines for Fabien to take.
I think the one thing that works in Fabien's favour, it is a big risk, as you say, obviously that Psychic Leap, being able to heal the Mew completely. A Mew V already on the bench to be able to evolve into another Mew VMAX as well if that happens. Not only that, Fabien by evolving both of the Sobbles takes away the easy knockout of just being able to do 70 damage to one of those. The Drizzile slightly more. Christian is going to need a power tablet. Obviously, Choice Band not working on one prize Pokemon, only rule box Pokemon. So it is going to be a situation where Christian needs to hit out to be able to take that, and of course, Gus the Drizzile into the active as well.
Yeah, so Cram-Matic looks like Tails again, so not ideal, but that's the risk you take playing Cram-Matic.
We've seen both sides of the corner today. We've seen a couple people flip all heads and a couple of people flip all tails, but that is the risk of Cram-Matic. For those who don't know, Cram-Matic, discard a card from hand, flip a coin. If heads, you can search your deck for any card. Of course, on coin flips, if you get a heads, it's usually a very powerful effect, but unfortunately, there's always that 50-50 chance you hit tails.
Yes, important to note, it's specifically an item you have to discard as well.
Specifically an item, of course.
Yes, but but when you do get it off, it is of course a very, very powerful effect. So I'm sure Christian would have liked to hit heads there, and I don't think I've seen him hit heads this series so far, but that's something that's outside of his control, of course.
As you mentioned before, though, I think a really good point of Chronomatic is that at the very least for Mew, it does get rid of 2 cards out of the hand for that Fusion Strike system on Genesect. So it's never a full bad payoff. There's always some sort of merit of playing that card.
There really is. So now, Christian, I didn't quite see what, I assume he played a search card of some kind, but okay. So
now the heal is gone. That line of play has now disappeared for Christian, meaning that Mew is definitely susceptible to the snipe. Because the interesting thing about this deck as well, I don't think we mentioned yet, in the Fusion Energy deck, Mew is immune to sniping. Obviously, that Fusion Strike, that Fusion Energy stopping all effects landing on Mew. So that Inteleon play wouldn't even exist in that deck, but in this one with the DTE, it's very susceptible to it.
Yeah, it is. And Christian, maybe just taking the evaluation that, you know, sure, Fabien can take an easy 3 prizes next turn by, you know, KOing my bench Mew VMAX, but I can take enough prizes quickly enough for it to not matter anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we can see that he's going full aggression here. He needs to try and win 2 games now as well. We need to remember in this time. Playing down 2 power tablets as well, being able to take a huge knockout on this Palkia VSTAR. This Mew is putting on its boxing gloves. It is pounding through Fabian's deck right now. It is asking all of the questions, and can Fabien Freya come up with the answers?
It's definitely possible. We saw it. Well, one answer was, you know, Christian's answer to himself in the last game, but I think in this game, yeah, the 2 power tablets, enough to carry the Palkia VSTAR, and now Fabien's answer has got to be that play with the quick shooting Inteleon. There it is. Of
course, and there it is. The quick shooting comes down. Fabian's going to know that 3 prizes. He's going to get 3 extra cards this turn from doing almost nothing, just firing off that quick shooting ability, access to more cards. He's now got energy as well to use that conceal cards ability on Greninja. He's going to need, however, to set up another Palkia VSTAR.
Yes.
It's its only real attacker right now. Christian only needs 2 more cards to win the game. He needs to create a situation where that becomes quite impossible. Obviously, playing 2 power tablet already, Christian's going to have to search for those. It's not going to be as easy as last time to see those be able to go straight through a VSTAR.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how this unfolds.
Yeah. It is unfortunate as well that Fabien, like so many lists we've seen, only plays 1 choice belt in this list. So, because if there was 2 choice belts available, Fabien could like go for a play this turn where scoop up net onto this Inteleon, evolve the other Drizzle, obviously, before it evolved into this Shady Dealings one, do quick shooting again on this new Mew, and choice belt full bench, echoing horn to fill up Christian's bench, win the game in 1 turn.
Yes, that is definitely a line he could have gone for if playing more than 1.
Yeah. But he doesn't, so it's relevant.
And we just see the Capacious Bucket coming down now, seeing more energy for Fabien. We continue to save for this deck. Energy is power, activating Greninja, getting those energies in the bin, and of course activating Melanie and drawing you 2 more cards. But not only that, Palkia still needing 1 more energy to be able to use Sub-State Spell this turn.
Yeah, so no, I almost said Super Scoop Up, my goodness. You're rubbing off on me. Scoop Up net coming in to pick up the quick shooting Inteleon.
Path comes down, unfortunately, this time, though. Something we talked about really early on in this game, this path coming down, but no Roxanne to follow it up to really lock Christian in. It's only going to be a Marnie.
Which still
is good.
Yes.
But I think a -2 would be very grateful in Fabien's hands right now.
Yeah.
However, the Marnie drawing Fabien to 2 cross-switcher.
Okay.
So that means he does have Gust to be able to perhaps take an easy knockout on a Genesect.
Yeah.
If he's able to get through a Mew. Obviously, the Mew in his game. If he's able to take 2 Genesect knockouts, is another line for him to win the game. So and just hitting into the Mew.
Yes, and now it's up to Christian. Does Christian have an out to win? He doesn't need much. Some kind of switching out and a gusting out would work.
That Crobat on the bench looking awfully tasty as well.
Yes.
190 on its own will be enough to KO that Crobat. Just need a boss. Some sort of gust here. It's not in the Rotom phone, so we won't see it, but we might see that path bumped. If not now, the next turn.
Yeah.
If this Mew can survive.
Finding the Lost City off the Rotom phone, so going to put that on top of the deck. Sadly, I don't think there's a way for Christian to draw it this turn, so it is going to have to be a 1-turn thing, and this will give Fabien the opportunity to potentially take this game and series here, because all Christian can really do is retreat and pass. So
and once again, we play that game of hide and seek, going to the bench, hoping that Fabien does not have the answers here. the evolution incense, though, spelling trouble for him. That Drizzile probably hitting the hand now, being able to grab exactly what he needs. Is it a boss's orders?
It's looks like a double cross switcher, and yeah, that will be it. Fabien will take the series 2-0 after just going for the scoop of net to bring it back, and that unfortunate end for Christian there played his heart out, but Fabien, our homegrown hero, as we call him so often, has moved on into day 2 in this tournament.